Thank you for joining us, Mr. Douglas Ritson. You, I believe, are the National Program Director. You're working with the Hands of Justice, and we're here to talk about the Durban Easter Bookfair that's taking place from the 18th of April, that's Good Friday, until Easter Monday, which is the 21st of April. I am, of course, the Director of Multi-Marketing, Noshad Khan. Mr. Douglas, welcome yet again to Multi-Marketing. Introduce yourself to the viewers and everyone who's watching.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sani Bonani, Assalamu alaikum, Konnichiwa, Dumela, what's up? I am Douglas Ritson, proud member of the Hands of Justice team. We are a non-profit company that focuses on community development. So this is one of our goals, which is these book fairs. And the purpose behind these book fairs is to grow literacy and the art of literature in general to disadvantaged schools and communities. How do we do this? By having such events such as this. This is the one in a series of many that we intend to do. The next one on the list is Johannesburg, but there are others as well, including Botswana, and we've identified projects in most of the cities we'd like to go to currently. Two of the schools, one in Johannesburg and one in Gaborone in Botswana. It will be a library reinstatement. We will not be putting in significant infrastructure for those, but generally the project in terms of the books as pages of justice is we have these book fairs either at the school, the organization's premises, or the community facility that has requested this library from us. We come there, we have the book fair, we collect the money, and we put the first part in, which is usually the concrete pad. Then in year 2, unless we've had the container or books or both donated to us, we come back, we have the second book fair, we get the container ready. And hopefully we can convert it into a library with a desk for a librarian, shelving, everything, and then bring in the books and officially launch the library. So if you as an organization or business have a container, spare one, we will happily get involved with you for this. Okay, so that's the purpose behind these book fairs. Now the Easter Book Fair, which is the South Africa's charity book fair, hence the reason we're doing this. We also want to involve charities to come and showcase themselves alongside the authors and the food vendors and the people selling their things at the market part of the book fair. So the location, it's a lovely private museum run by the Mazizi Kuneni Foundation, and I can't wait, and the foundation can't wait for you to come through every day of the book fair and after with your schools, with your families, to come and see the museum. It is a revered space for me, and I've been there 3 times and I still get goosebumps. So it's quite inspiring, especially for isiZulu speakers. It is quite an experience. I call it my literature church. So we are really looking forward to hosting you there. The museum tours, I've just spoken to the one of the people from the museum shortly before this interview. They will be doing hourly express tours. So they'll be able to cater for a lot of people during the book fair and authors that may find some time to come through and come inside and be a part of the tour quickly. We also plan to have book talks about the authors and their books. So please feel free to make contact with myself. I will leave details in the comment section if I can, unless you can share that thing I sent you with the forms on Nashad. That would help me, because I don't think I've got it saved to my clipboard currently on the phone. And there will be a little something for the kids. I don't want to overhype it. I don't want to undersell it, but we are definitely trying to have something for the kids to be entertained as well, focused around Easter, of course. So yes, there may be Easter eggs, there may be an Easter bunny, there may be Easter egg hunts, face painting, or kid stuff that kids like to do. So come after church, after mosque, come through, come engage with our authors, come and engage with me and our organization and the Mazizi Konene Foundation, and come find out about our project. So just while I'm on the subject of the Mazizi Konene Museum, I want to clarify to everyone that's listening in that, yes, the main purpose of the book fair is for the libraries. The museum has graciously offered us a space at the museum for a library. However, we are steering towards a food security program with the proceeds from this initial book fair, and that is to assist our ongoing projects for future libraries at less fortunate locations such as Inanda, Umlazi, Kwamashu, and Cater Manor and places like that. Welbedag as well, we're hoping to have a library there in the future. So we felt that the food security issue is a more immediate issue, and how it's going to work is the community kitchen is going to feed the less fortunate, homeless, unemployed, as well as cater to the public of the surrounding community, not only visiting the museum, but coming as regular visitors to the cafe in support of our projects and the museum itself. There's a big collaboration that the museum and ourselves are putting together for future projects, future endeavors. It's going to be awesome, and we're going to be talking about it all during the book fair. And I look forward to having everyone come down and interact, volunteer. We're launching the Bilo Community Participation and Assistance Unit, which is going to be helping in the cafe and running the kitchen and coordinating things for us there. Even though the Mazizi Konene Foundation is there, it's also our project, so we've got to have people there as well. We can't just be like, oh, here's the cafe, see you next month. It has to be a hands-on experience, more so because we are based here in Durban. I myself, just a little bit about myself. I'm Durban born and raised. I was born in Alexandra Hospital. I've lived quite a few different places in Durban, but Durban is my home. Even when I went overseas, I was missing home. So I always like to come back to Durban, and that's why I'm so passionate about my city, number one, literature and community development as a whole, because the libraries we speak of for fundraising from these book fairs is one part of what we want to do. The gardens itself are going to be aquaponics system for the vertical stack garden. And the Mazizi Konene Foundation has graciously offered us space for a technology demonstrator version of this garden, also at the museum. So I'm very happy to be working with them in the future. Yes, so I'm very excited to come and meet everyone and the authors. Some of the authors I already met. Nishad, as I said to you, I'd already met you and some of the authors. Some are coming from Johannesburg, such as Dr. Sasa. She's coming to speak about financial literacy for authors. The segment is called A Wake Up Call, and it's very it's a very impassionate plea for our authors and writers and things like that to, well, I don't want to give too much away, you have to come through, but the purpose of the segment is to get authors onto the right track so that they have more exposure for their writings and their books and their novels and so on. Right, Nishad, I'm sure you've got questions. I'm ready. I think I'm ready for questions now.
Well, you mentioned quite a lot, so some of my questions are going to have to be altered. But nevertheless, you mentioned that you were born and raised in Durban, and my face lit up when you mentioned Addington Hospital because that's literally, I'm looking at Addington Hospital right now. I live right next door to it. So when you mentioned it, I was like, wow, he's born right here, what I'm looking at right now. So that's incredible. So
True.
you mentioned multiple book fairs. You mentioned one happening in Durban, Joburg, Botswana. I believe there's also something happening in August in honor of Women's Day. I think you may have alluded to that in one of our conversations. So besides the Durban Book Fair, for authors going forward, what can they expect from your foundation in terms of book fairs and events that will be happening, let's just say for the foreseeable future of 2025?
Okay, 2025, I am aware of 2 further book fairs here in Durban. I unfortunately cannot speak about them at this stage. We may or may not launch the 2 at the during the book fair, during the Easter weekend. Hopefully it's formalized by then. But in terms of the rest of the country and Botswana, Joburg is intending to be the weekend after the Easter weekend. So that is the 26th to the 28th, I believe, if I'm correct. And then we may be going to another South African city first, which I cannot mention. And then we are headed off to Botswana for the book fair there. We would like to go to Kimberley, Bloemfontein, Cape Town, PE, East London, Grahamstown. And on my way back to Durban, I have a meeting with the chief for one of these community hubs in the Eastern Cape. So I'll be making a quick stop there. But I will give a little tidbit for next year, an additional country, the neighbor of ours. We are going, well, we are planning to go, let me rather say this, we are planning to go to Swaziland with the book fair. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because that'll be our second international country. We want to grow in the SADC region with these projects. Yes, we've got another future partner of ours, Literacy for Life. We're going to be collaborating with them in the future in some upcountry projects. They're doing similar things to us. They have they also want to place libraries and classrooms for literacy, hence the name. And it's exciting. I find literature exciting. I find literacy exciting. And this was long before I even came into the sector. Okay. On my first trip to Cape Town as a little child, my mom took us to the mobile library there in the Cape and bought me a book. And the book was titled, if I remember correctly, Pig in the Library. So this book has been sitting with me. The concept of this book has been sitting with me. Yes, we're not going to travel with a pig in the library, as cute as that would, in a mobile library, as cute as that would be for those who know the book. However, the concept of a library on wheels, it's very exciting. And just to wrap up quickly, yes, I went down that road of mobile libraries. However, with the costs of petrol and insurance and paying for the vehicle, whatever it is, whether it's a truck, a van, a bus, it's just uneconomical in the current South African economy, unfortunately. and that's why we sticking to these, just to tie back quickly, these hubs, because it's there. If we get enough money to build the concrete patch large enough to accommodate further expansion of the hubs, then we're going to do that, so that, hey, my next thing is a clinic, my next thing is a ECD center, my next thing is a pharmacy, my next thing is, and I just have to place the converted container, which in the future saves costs. And in this country, we have to do things like this. I'd just like to touch on a project that I am aware of with Oxford Press and AVBOB, their trolley libraries. It's a great initiative, 100%. I'm not saying rather support us versus them. If you want to support them, that's great. However, our libraries, apologies. I'm very passionate, so I always refer to the project as mine, which technically is true, but it's everyone's project. It's not just mine. Our baseline for books in our libraries is 1,000 books. So the libraries will launch with 1,000 books. Not taking anything away from AVBOB and Oxford Press, but I believe their trolleys are not as many as that. It's an amazing project. They're helping. I don't have to go to those communities. You know, a lot of people have reached out to me already, but then they've received the trolleys. So it's saving us capacity. It's saving us, because there's only so many book fairs, there's only so many charity events we can do in a year without creating apathy, or what's the word? Entropy, I believe it is. You know, entropy of support, I believe I'm saying it correctly. Was it atrophy? I think it's atrophy of support. You know, you lose the empathetic ear, things like that. You can't have too many literature things going on. You can't have a book fair every month. As much as I'd love to do that, in the same city, Okay, hence the roadshow, hence the back-to-back nature of the roadshows I was referring to. So that's the thing, and that's why, just coming back to the cafe quickly, I'm so excited, because once the cafe is open, I don't have to keep asking for money. I'm generating money through the project. I'm going to different cities. I'm going to Richards Bay. I'm going to Rusikisiki to drop a container library. Why? Because we did this book fair in 2025, and the gift keeps on giving.
So I sensed a lot of passion when you were speaking about your projects, and you know, you come across with all this passion and this vibe about you of all these great things you're going to be doing, that your passion kind of like drips over onto the person you're speaking of, where now I'm like, wow, I'm interested in all these amazing things that you guys are doing. But to take it back to where it all started, one of my questions was going to be about what is the Hands of Justice Foundation? What is South Africa's Got Charity? Because these are two tags that people are going to be seeing all over the Durban Easter Book Fair. When they walk in, they're going to see Hands of Justice organization. They're going to be seeing South Africa's Got Charity. Just explain to them what that means. What are these organizations about? What are these terminologies, so that they're aware when they come to the Easter Book Fair exactly what they're walking into?
Great question for me to answer, Sean. Okay, so SAGC, or South Africa's Good Charity, as I previously mentioned, we want to do events where we showcase community charities, not only potential on-site partners in the future cities we plan to do our projects, but others, pet rescue organizations, people raising awareness for rhinos, people doing, there's so many in the charity sector. I've just hit a blank, but you know, it's okay. We raise blankets for winter. Okay, great. I can give you a free slot. You can showcase yourself to the community, to our sponsors, to our community, to our authors. You know, whoever's coming. The concept of SA's Got Charity, we've broken it down into components. We've previously tried to have one big event already here in Durban. It didn't go too well. So we've broken down the various components of South Africa's Got Charity. So there's the book fair, there's art fairs we want to do, you know, like an art expo. There is, what's the other components? There's, okay, well, those two are the main two, but the wider fair in general, it's, you know, you have amusement rides come, people with inflatables, stuff for kids to do, live entertainment, all of that. Basically, it's a community fair because we're going to a specific suburb or city, and that's the concept of SA's Good Charity, but with a focus on charity at the core, not only ourselves. We believe in sharing the love and sharing the opportunity with others beyond ourselves. Is that clear, Nashad?
Perfectly clear. So how long have you guys been around, and how long have you guys been running these fairs, or is this the pilot year for you guys?
This will be the pilot book fair. As I mentioned, we did have an event in Durban North, which unfortunately wasn't so successful. And, you know, as much as I want to say, oh, this is our first one, it's the first book fair. It's not the first big event we've undertaken. We've undertaken previous events as well for other matters which haven't come off as well. I'm willing to admit that. However, this is a space where there's a strong need, specifically for book fairs, libraries, literature in general. And this is why I'm so grateful to the Mazizi Kunyeni Foundation and Museum for wanting to collaborate with us on this event, on future projects, which is all in the pipeline, and we really, really can't wait to start helping Durban, helping our communities, and helping our UNESCO City of Literature, or literacy, I believe it's literacy. Mm-hmm. So, you know, yes, the city might be closing libraries. Well, I want to do 1,000 libraries across the country. So I'm doing the opposite. There's many fights, there's many aspects to this, but we're ready for the challenge. Okay, coming to Hands of Justice, as I said, we focus on community development, which is infrastructure mainly based. However, we do food drives. We do accept zakat and lila donations as well, because we're Sharia compliant on that aspect. And that is to help our Muslim community beneficiaries, mostly in Welbedacht, but we have helped numerous people and communities around the city where and as we can, and having these community kitchens all over, not just in Umbilo, will help these matters. Even if we cannot set up a garden, we will still have the kitchens for functionality, for disaster relief, because this is where the foundation of Hands of Justice came from, is during the July 2021 riots. It basically started with 30 Rand that my uncle lent me for airtime, and I started phoning retailers and security companies and water companies to get food out into the Durban area, or KZN as well, but specifically Durban, because as we all know, the shops were closed. It was a very bad time in the country. The most recent closeness to that, I'd say, is what's just happened in Mozambique over the last few months after the election. But fortunately, we only had it for a few days. They're having it for a few months. You know, and this is where our interventions come in. We would love to be over the border, assisting where we can, however precarious it is. Disaster relief, infrastructure relief. We've got proposals for containers to be picked up by it's the crane on the skip, you know, the big square rectangular skips. We've got concepts of a shower and bathroom unit for people such as the tornado-stricken area in the north, well, north of Durban, sorry, but we need the funds to do this. Money does not grow on trees. The government does not automatically give us R500,000 a year. If they did, we'd be able to undertake quite a few projects, get paid as well, which we don't, and then we wouldn't be asking the public for money every 5 minutes. But this is the reality of being in the charity sector. I myself have been in the charity sector 13 years in December. I've been involved in rhinos, raising awareness for against rhino poaching, rhino horn, things like that. Very much on the environmental side, and then I joined another organization by I don't think I should mention the name, but I was deputy chair of that organization, and now we currently run another medical organization which was formed during COVID, and now I'm here running the national and technically our international projects for Hands of Justice, and it's to help. I'm a very compassionate person, specifically. I try and help as much as I can. Yes, I do pass the homeless person in the streets. Yes, I see them every day. But guess what? Here in Queensborough, there's a ward kitchen. So they're not, it's not like there's no food. There is food here. So, and I'm literally, the homeless people are literally here by the ward kitchen. But again, it's not every day. I understand that. But there's only so much we can do. So we need, as a charity, we need support, we need funding, and that's why I'm so keen to work with the museum, get this cafe open, and then, hey, guess what? 2027, Durban's book fair, it says got charity book fair is free, because I don't have to ask for money from the authors, the vendors, nothing. Why? Because I've got my venue, I can buy the tent. Literally, why? Because we income generating now. So we want to get to that point of sustainability where we can just knock out projects and do these 1,000. Will it happen in my lifetime? I don't think so. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get to 500 to 600 in my lifetime. So I'll be pretty pleased with that. But again, we need support, not only from authors, not only from publishers, but all sectors of the community. Government only goes so far, and I don't really want to get into those sort of things, but it's the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. Because if government was doing the right job, I do want to say this, there would be no need for charities such as ourselves, especially infrastructure, people focusing on infrastructure specifically. Yes, there's different aspects to community development where you promote cohesion, and we're all about that. But specifically for us and our organization, we see the need, we see there's lack of infrastructure. Why? Do we really know? Maybe we do know. Maybe I don't want to speak about it publicly too much. But the need is there. It's not at all. I mean, we reached out to the school that was affected by the tornado, not the tornado, sorry, the fire in Phoenix. We did attempt to reach out to have the second fair, technically, have it there to raise funds for their container library, so the kids had a library again. It didn't work out. We didn't get very far in the process, but this is the red tape we face, whether it's the public, whether it's the community, whether it's a school, things like that. There's always something, and this is why charities and the charity sector gets a bad name, because there's expectations. We're on government level funding, but it's not the case at all. Okay, Nishad, I think I've spoken way too much about the sector, so let's try and get back to literature and literacy.
I was so intently listening to you, because when you speak, your words carry weight, and that's what I like about when you're talking. It's like you're speaking sense, you're on ground level, you're down to earth, and you're speaking to the masses about really what it takes to put together these events and fairs and many people at times don't, know about that. And I share your passion for vision for the future, because I've mentioned it in previous interviews that I've done where multi-marketing's got big plans of ourselves, of our own, and to going into the future. And I think Steve Harvey said it best. You have to have dreams that terrify you, that are bigger than and larger than life, and that's how you go in and you achieve them. And I do like how you mentioned that Durban is, I think, in South Africa or maybe in the southern region, the only UNESCO city of literature, which is something that we should always take pride in. And that is why multi-marketing is involved in a lot of these library drives and reading drives that we do at different schools and venues. And it's one of the reasons why we're coming to the Durban Easter Bookfair, to continue with that drive of literature and putting books and authors out there so people can get their hands on them. Coming back to the Durban Easter Book Fair, without giving too much away, I know you spoke on it a bit earlier, but without giving too much away, but to encourage people who are like iffy, like they're not sure if this is a fair that they want to come to and spend the time with their family or not. What can you say to those people who are like, why should I come to the Durban Easter Book Fair? What is there for me? What can I expect if I come through to this book fair?
Well, uh, for the non-average bookworm, someone passionate about literature or literacy, such as myself, or you, for that matter, Shad, since you're from the sector as well, let us let us take care of your kids at the Easter experience. You can take a weight off, and you can come and see the space of the museum. You can come do some light shopping, maybe buy a book or two, which would be amazing. Yes, while we're on the authors here quickly, the beautiful part, rather, of the book fairs is, no matter if an author comes to one or comes to all book fairs that we're planning to do around the country, we will endeavor to at least buy one of their books for each library that we set up across the country and the SADC region. And this is to encourage the authors to come on board. And it'd be great to have you back next year, not only because it might be free, or you might want to come to Joburg because Durban's potentially free next year. Fantastic. But it doesn't matter. Come for one, help us get this initial library, or in this case, for Durban, help us get the community kitchen up and running so that I can do five libraries next year, potentially, on our own, aside from the book fair. And yeah, it comes back to support. It comes to reciprocation in terms of buying a book back from the author once the library is ready to go, and then ordering another 10 because people have requested, hey, we want access to your authors that you had at the book fair. We also want to buy a book. We based here in Durban. Our library is a bit thin. We want to bulk it up with some children's books. Okay, great. These are the authors that have come. These are the authors we have put in the library. These are the authors that have been approved by schools, because, some schools might not like every single children's book that we bring to our book fairs or put in our private libraries, even though they're technically public. They're going to be public libraries, whether they're in a private space or a public space. They technically will be a public library, and we are looking at the systems for people to not only exchange books, but check a book out like a traditional municipal library as well. I just wanted to highlight that fact because, yes, great. Oh, we're going to have second-hand books. No, no, no. We are buying books from our authors. We are buying books from the industry, which in turn supports the industry, such as yourself, Nishad. There is some interesting books in your roster that I saw when I met you and the authors last year. So we are keen to have those books in the library as well, not just because you're coming on board, but because I really liked them when I met you and the authors. You have a wonderful team there when I met you guys, and I'm really looking forward to having you guys not only at this book fair, but potential book fairs in the future here in Durban and obviously around the country. And if you want to go to the rest of the SADC countries, you let me know and you can tag along.
Yes, I think Marketing, we're very interested in. After I've heard all the amazing things you're doing, I think multi marketing is more than happy to jump on board and help where we can as well. And obviously, getting our authors' books into your library not only stocks up that library, but also gets those authors exposure that they previously would not have
Exactly.
gotten. Because I think I'm at liberty to speak to this because I did have a conversation about 2 weeks back to, I'm not going to mention her name, but it was a lady who works at the head of the municipal libraries here in KZN. And she said that there's currently a backlog of books on the list from 2019 that they're still waiting for the government to approve in order to get those books on into the libraries. I myself am an author. I published a book. My book is on that list and it's been waiting since 2020. So it's a long time coming, and I think by getting your libraries underway, these authors who would probably be on a very far down on that waiting list can obviously get into your libraries instead, and that gives them the exposure that they need as well. So yes, multi-marketing is definitely on board with you going forward. And I think you alluded to it in the beginning of the interview when you mentioned, okay, so there's going to be stalls, there's going to be bookstores, there's going to be food vendors, there's going to be entertainment for the kids in terms of an Easter hunt. I do believe also you did mention something about book talks. Can you speak more about that in terms of, other than kids entertainment, I'd say authors and bookworms also have some entertainment of their own in terms of these book talks. Can you go into that a little bit more?
Sure, sure. Basically, a book talk is the author or authors, if they've co-written a book, come on come onto our stage or the formalized presentation area. I don't want to say which, preferably we'd like a stage, but again, with the costs, okay. So basically, we're allowing authors to come and speak about their books, which further gives them exposure to the public that are we're expecting to come along. Perhaps a vendor wants to buy, perhaps the kid is listening in because it's a children's book author, and that also is reciprocation back to the authors. We can't just have the authors at their tables, you know, and then everyone's going to the food and everyone's buying a sari or a new niqab or a new belt, you know, or listening to the live entertainment only. We're structuring it in such a way that there's going to be the main point is the authors, but the shopping is the shopping while included. It's also going to be in its own space, if that makes sense. I don't want, as I said, I don't want to give too much away. We are working to get a larger space for the entire event, but until that's confirmed, I can't really say oh, we're gonna have monster trucks come and you know, things like that. We are currently limited to space, but I do want to make it bigger, and then maybe we in a couple of years we've outgrown our current hosts, and we'll bring them along to the next venue. And again, coming down to costs, I've been making some calls. We've made some calls for our previous events, which were more cinema seating style orientated than having an open indoor space as such. And the costs, especially here in Durban, are significant. You would think not, but it's quite scary. You would think it's Joburg. We're in Joburg by the sea here. But again, very, very happy to work with the Mzizi Kuneni Foundation moving forward. And yeah, so entertainment wise, I haven't confirmed. You know, the venue and the museum and I have to have a further conversation regarding possible entertainment options. But if we have the expanded space, then we're definitely going to put on a all-rounded community experience for everyone. Definitely, we want this is for the community, technically by the community, since the museum is in the community of Ambila. It's as itself as an organization is very involved with things in the community there. So it's for the community, not just the immediate residents around the museum. We're hoping the schools want to be involved. Perhaps the schools come on board and say, hey, we're not closing for Easter, can we have an extra day and bring the kids on the Thursday, for instance? That would be lovely. We'd be open to do that. Why? Because it's further collaboration, it's further community involvement, it's further exposure for authors, it's further exposure for us, further exposure for the museum and the foundation as well.
And I like how you mentioned how the costs are exorbitant, because I have tried to put on events myself, and when you look at the prices, they're like, "Are you serious, bro? Really? Those are the prices?" It's mind-boggling. But yeah, so if you guys are coming through to the Durban Easter Book Fair, you heard it yourself. There will be obviously book talks from authors. Multi-marketing has 3 segments for 3 of our authors that will be featured at the Durban Easter Book Fair. We will have a stall there. Come and see the variety of authors that are going to be featured there that are from our publishing house, and the variety of other authors that you will also see at the Durban Easter Book Fair. Mr. Douglas Ritson, if anyone wants to get in contact with you regarding the Durban Easter Book Fair, wants to book a stall, wants to book a segment, how can they get in touch with you guys?
They're welcome to message me directly, Douglas Ritson here on Facebook. They're welcome to call me, 082 5610 700. My email for the event is hojevents@clubmember.org. And if you see our invite, the poster should be coming out shortly, and we will be attaching the application forms for publishers, authors, and vendors, so that they can apply to be a part of the book fair as well. If you can only come for certain days, that's fine too. If you only want to come and launch your book or do a book talk, please feel free to contact me just to come and do that. It's not a problem. We're not charging ridiculous amounts for that. It's just to cover the rental of the audio equipment. If we don't have it sponsored, we've built in a little bit of a cost to cover ourselves there, not only for the authors taking tables who receive a free book talk or book launch during the book fair, but for authors that don't necessarily have the time to come, and maybe they can only come for 3 hours on Saturday, just to interact with us, the museum, and the public and fellow authors. We'll work with you. We're open. We'd love to have you. We'd love to engage. We'd love to hear about your literacy journey and possibly feature your books in our libraries moving forward.
That's great, guys. So if you want to get in touch with the Durban Easter Book Fair, if you want to get a table, if you want to get a segment to speak to the audience, or even just to come through and interact with the museum, the venue, and everyone at the Durban Easter Book Fair, come through. Mr. Douglas Ritson's given you all his contact details there, so get in touch with him if you want to book a stall or book a segment for yourself, speak about your book on the stage. Well, if there is a stage, like he said, it's still in the building processes at the moment, but it will be taking place at the Mazizi Kunene Museum in the Glenwood area of Durban. If you put on your Google Maps, you should be able to find it from Good Friday, the 18th of April, 2025, until Easter Monday, that is the 21st of April, 2025. Like I said, multi-marketing will be there. 10 of our authors will be there, and it's going to be a fun-filled, very jam-packed weekend, and we're looking forward to it. So, Mr. Ritson, before we close this thing up, is there anything you'd like to say to everyone who's watching this video?
Okay, kind of corny, kind of cheesy. Be there or be square. I think that's it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right, guys. So, yeah, you heard it here first. Durban Easter Book Fair taking place this April. I'd like to thank Mr. Douglas Ritson for his time here this afternoon. I'm the Director of Multi-Marketing, Naushad Khan. For Mr. Douglas Ritson, we will see you guys at the Durban Easter Book Fair in April.